Howdy, 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 my name's Sasuke, and welcome back to Let's Read the SCP Foundation Wiki. In the last episode, we read a whole bunch of things, and in this one we're going to be starting with, I believe, a handy marker. So, let's see what's handy about this marker. SCP-1151-1 and its final stages of compromisation. Subject had self-decapitated before photo was taken. Oh god. It says it's safe though, probably just because it's just a marker. SCP-1151 is currently contained in Storage Unit Blank, located at site somewhere. It is to be kept in a 10 by 10 centimeter sealed container and kept under guard by one security officer at all times. Any personnel handling it in any way must wear protective gloves while doing so. Only one specimen of one may be kept in containment at any time. Subjects in the final stages of compromisation are to be fed via IV tube as dictated in Nutritional Chart 1. Or excuse me, 1151-1. If any personnel become compromised by 1151 outside of authorized testing, the affected hand is to be immediately washed and decontaminated. Any testing involving 1151 must be authorized by at least 2 members of level 3 personnel. Alright then. SCP-1151 is a black marker pen of the blank brand, probably Sharpie. 1151's anomalous properties first become apparent when it is used to draw the image of a smiley face onto the palm of a human subject, who will hereafter be referred to simply as 1. The initial effects of 1151 take roughly a week to initially manifest, and this time period has been known to vary depending on the age and the physical condition of 1. During this period, before initial manifestation, washing off or otherwise removing the smiley face will negate the effect. Subjects experiencing the effects of 1151 will noticeably raise their affected hand during their daily routines. Initially, they will only do this when conversing with others, but as 1151 compromisation progresses, they will raise their affected hand higher than the rest of their body constantly. Later symptoms of these initial stages include unfocused pupils, loose hanging of the head, and slight slurring of speech. The initial period of compromisation only lasts at most 3 days. After this point, 1151's further mental effects will become apparent. One will begin to believe that the face drawn on their palm is their actual face and will behave as such. Interestingly, tests have indicated that one does have a limited awareness of what the face drawn on their palm is looking at. After a period ranging from 2 to 6 days has passed, the final stage of compromisation will begin. One will begin to believe that their head is a dangerous growth on their body, commonly referring to it as a tumor or a cancer, and will attempt to remove it using whatever tools are available to them. If they cannot find a method of efficiently decapitating themselves, they will attempt to use cruder methods such as repeatedly summon their head upon walls or floors. 75% of affected individuals have been known to survive their self-decapitation, despite the resultant lack of a brain and the mental and physical functions associated with it. After self-decapitation, a surviving one will wander aimlessly, showing a general awareness of their surroundings by moving around obstructions. Surviving instances of one do not appear to be concerned regarding the massive amount of blood loss related to their self-decapitation, and will survive for a time period ranging from 1 to 6 hours. Okie dokie then. That really is well, it's a handy marker. It's a dangerous marker, but it's safe because it's just a marker. As long as you don't draw a smiley face on your hand, you're fine. Let me double check the name of that. A common raccoon. So it's probably not a raccoon. SCP-1152 during initial containment, note the missing digit on the front paw. That's a dude. So SCP-1152 is to be kept in a solitary habitat in the Site-98 Animal Housing Wing. 1152 is to be given 5 kilograms of feed meeting its nutritional standards, detailed in document 1152-NI, laced with 25 milligrams of venlafaxine? 1152 is to be examined once every 2 months by an on-site veterinarian following repeated health issues. Access to 1152 is reserved to level 3 personnel only. Okay. SCP-1152 is superficially similar to standard members of the Procyon lotor, common raccoon species. I don't see a raccoon, I see a guy. Superficially similar. 1152 weighs approximately 75 kilograms despite only being 60 centimeters from the nose to the tip of its tail, and its current state of malnutrition. 1152 does not share the genome of other members of its species, but is a near complete match for the human genome. After logging SCP-1152's genome in the Foundation database, it was found to share 99.87% of its genetic code with that of late Agent Blank. Agent Blank was presumed dead after being missing in action for 13 months. His body has yet to be retrieved by Foundation staff. So, it's a raccoon in every way except for it looking like this dude. Along with its human DNA, 1152 has proven susceptible to pathogens normally restricted to infecting humans. 1152 has also been verified to have a lifespan much longer than others of its species, having been in containment for 6 years. It's missing the 5th digit on his front left paw. How 1152 was injured is as of yet unknown. 1152 has exhibited intelligence on par with an average post-pubescent human, eluding capture from staff for 2 weeks after initially being found in Site-98's personnel wing. How 1152 managed to get into Site-98 without being noticed is as of yet unknown, along with how it obtained knowledge of the layout of Site-98. It is suffering from long-term depression following its capture. 1152 is capable of manipulating objects with considerable dexterity beyond what should be feasibly possible with paws. It is also capable of opening doors and bypassing low security manual locks, requiring the lock to its room to be replaced with keycard access. Along with the anomalous mass of 1152's body, it appears that it may possess cognito-hazardous effects in carnivorous and omnivorous land animals. Any such animal introduced to 1152, even members of its own species, has displayed hostility towards it. As such, it is now contained in a secluded habitat. Addendum A. After the events of its escape on blank the 6th, 2000-something, all personnel are advised to keep their keycards hidden on their person when interacting with 1152. The incident report follows. At 10:45 a.m., 1152 is seen attempting to dig through the walls of its habitat. At 10:55, Agent Blank is dispatched to incapacitate 1152. At 11:02, they attack the agent, retrieve the keycard, and escape. At 2:35 in the afternoon, they are found in the supply storage and contained once more. Note, 1152 was found with a stolen phone. Records indicate that it had somehow dialed Agent Blank's wife after presumably striking random buttons. The call lasted 5 minutes and consisted entirely of 1152 whining and barking into the microphone. So it sounds like somebody probably turned their agent into a raccoon? Possibly with brain swapping. I'm surprised they didn't check for brain swapping. Seems like the first thing they should have done given what this organization is. Now it's time for programmable patience. Patience like people, not patience like... I don't have a comparison to patience without using the word patience. Huh. SCP-1153 is stored in a purpose-built storage area at storage site someplace, when not used for testing purposes. Permission to access it must be requested from the current Level 2 staff member responsible for supervision of 1153, currently Dr. Somebody. Instances of 1153 and 1153-2 are not to be stored while connected, and 2 must be stored in a depowered state. 2 is never to be left connected to 1153 for more than 25 minutes at any one time. When an instance of 2 is turned on, the list of commands must be examined and any new commands must be noted. Testing of serious contagious diseases or diseases of unknown nature on 1153 must be conducted under appropriate quarantine procedures up to and including the restriction of testing to biohazard containment areas. Absolutely no tests on 1153 using any of the diseases classified under special containment procedures are to be conducted without the express permission and approval of at least one member of O5. All such tests, if they are ever conducted, must adhere to the special containment procedures of the disease in question. Description: SCP-1153 is a collection of 12, as of blankety blank blank, human bodies. These bodies are a mix of different heights, weights, ages, and genders, although some of the bodies appear to be identical to each other. They're functionally alive, but catatonic. They appear to possess no higher brain function or ability to move or act of their own volition. The bodies appear to possess a constant internal environment and neither require sustenance nor appear to age. All of the bodies appear shaved of hair and possess a barcode tattooed onto the inside of the left wrist. Each instance of 1153 has what appears to be a standardized USB port embedded in the outside of the left heel. A weird spot for that. SCP-1153-2 is a collection of 5, as of blankety blank blank, laptop computers of various makes and models. The earliest produced in 1990-something and the latest in 2000-something in the 10s. These computers have all been discovered in direct connection to an instance of 1153. Each of the computers are largely mundane and unremarkable, save for an anomalous program titled Data Expunged. That's probably not what it's called. The program is heavily encrypted, and to date, no attempts to modify or view the coding of the program or the transfer to another computer have been successful. When opened, the program consists of a menu including over something thousand listed commands. All of these commands are named after an injury or disease, save for the first command entitled Wipe. When an instance of 2 is connected to a cable by a cable to an instance of 1153, the Data Expunge program is launched and a command is executed. The primary anomalous effects of 1153 can be observed. When a command is executed in connection to an instance of 1153, the body will rapidly develop the relevant disease or injury over the course of approximately 20 seconds. Multiple injuries and diseases may be applied to a body, although the program will display an error message when more than 5 commands are executed on one subject. The Wipe command heals the body of all injuries and illnesses within another 20-second period, up to and including death and advanced decomposition. This Wipe command also affects injuries and illnesses not caused or related to the program. 1153 instances appear to have fully functioning healing and immune systems unless a condition related to these processes is loaded, and so can recover from these conditions naturally or as a result of normal treatment methods. All contagious diseases applied to 1153 are fully contagious and can spread and infect others in a manner identical to natural instances of the illness. Certain diseases have multiple commands, usually appended with a bracketed word indicating something about the disease. For example, executing the command polio incubation will cause no symptoms to develop immediately in line with the normal progression of the disease, while executing polio advanced will cause the body to immediately develop symptoms. The list of commands includes several diseases which have not previously been documented, as well as extinct diseases such as smallpox. For this reason, caution must be exercised when testing with 1153. It initially came to the Foundation's notice on blankety blank 1990-something, after the first known instance of 1153 was discovered under quarantine after being admitted to a hospital and data expunged, apparently suffering from smallpox. How it arrived in the hospital is currently unknown, as no documentation or evidence was found regarding how 1153 had arrived in the hospital. Foundation representatives acquired the body and administered Class B amnestics to those involved. No further measures were required, as information had been suppressed to prevent a public panic. The subject was placed in Foundation custody, although little was learned of 1153's nature until blankety blank blank, when a second instance was taken into containment with an associated 2 instance. Since then, 10 instances have been recovered and contained around the globe, often in connection to unusual or misplaced outbreaks of disease. The current number of 1153 instances outside of Foundation custody is unknown. Addendum 1. Recent experiments involving 2 have led researchers to the conclusion that the anomalous program contained within 2 is not fixed and can change and develop. For example, after the blank blank 2009, all instances of 2 appear to contain a new command titled H1N109 influenza, which causes subjects to develop symptoms identical to the aforementioned strain of the flu virus. All 2 instances recovered after this date have been found to contain this new command, possibly indicating that 2 instances are being updated in synchrony by an currently unknown process. Synchrony is a weird word. Addendum 2. On blankety blank blank, several new commands were found to have been added to the list of commands available for 2. All of them added on this date correspond to an anomalous illness or infection catalog under special containment procedures by the Foundation, including data expunged. The single instance of 2 discovered after this date came to the Foundation's attention after an outbreak of SCP blank and redacted, and contained a command list identical to all other instances currently in containment. Future outbreaks of anomalous diseases are to be investigated to determine a current possible link with uncontrolled 1153 instances. See now, this is yet another instance of something y'all probably should have destroyed as soon as you got it. If I had a bunch of computers and a bunch of bodies, which would be weird, that corresponded to various diseases, and then one day it gained new diseases based off of the diseases existing, and I worked in a scientific lab full of diseases that nobody knows exist, I would have destroyed those computers immediately. Given that they now know that the computers have updated to have the things the Foundation has, because they learned about them existing from being in the Foundation, they're kind of screwed now. So, maybe not all things considered safe should actually be not destroyed. Just saying. But I don't work for these people. Conceptual Dragons. Everything on this list, all of these things so far have been safe, and I have my doubts about that. But, it's safe because they can contain it, not safe because it's safe. There's a whole bunch of stuff in the Foundation that's not safe but marked safe because they can actually do something about it. Like, to give a silly example, if there was such a thing as the horny bat, you bonk people with the bat, it makes horniness stop. It's weird that it's powerful enough to just do that, but it's considered safe because they can just put it in a box and it's just a bat in a box unless someone actually bonks somebody with it. Anyway, 1154, safe, is to be contained in storage unit blank located somewhere. It is to be contained in a 15 by 15 centimeter sealed container. 1154 is to be kept under guard by one security officer at all times. Viewing of it must be conducted by members of disposable dudes. If any additional components of it are discovered to exist, they are to be immediately secured and contained by Mobile Task Force Zeta 29 Dragon Slayers. Any civilians affected by 1154, I don't know why I almost said 1149, are to be brought into Foundation custody for 2 weeks. If at the end of this period they have not expired, they are to be dosed with a Class A amnestic and released. Any testing with 1154 must be authorized by at least 2 Level 3 personnel. Description: SCP-1154 is the designation given to a collection of media which includes poems, short stories, a novel, and a VHS tape. All components have thematic links to an entity which the components refer to as the Dragon. Descriptions of this entity vary with 1154's different components, and very few of the components describe 1154 in accordance with the traditional European image of a dragon. See Component Analysis 1 for further detail, or information, same thing. 1154's anomalous effects become apparent when one of its compounds is viewed and understood by a human being, who will hereafter be referred to as the subject. Over the course of 2 weeks, the subject will experience the following phenomena: dreams involving vaguely reptilian entities, valuables such as jewelry mysteriously disappearing, receiving a drastic increase in the ambient temperature, a feeling that they are being followed, spontaneous combustion. This has not been known to occur with all subjects, and it is unknown what criteria, if any, affects whether this will occur. After death, the body of the subject has been known to disappear, accompanied by the sounds of consumption. Okay, component analysis. A summary of the various components that comprise 1154. Components are numbered in the order of their discovery. 1. A poem from the 1600s entitled The Beast of Redacted. The poem describes how a kingdom was attacked by a dragon, and how the king sends 3 knights to defeat it. 2 of the knights are killed by the dragon, while the 3rd knight climbs onto the dragon's back. Get up on the Hydra's back! The poem described how he managed to climb atop its neck and stab it in the throat. Ha ha! He's then eaten whole by the dragon, and the poem ended with the words, "And blessed with glory was that beast who had come from alien skies to feast." I feel like eating him wouldn't have really mattered since he, stabbed it in the throat when there'd just be a gaping hole in his neck for him to escape from. I don't know, there was also fire in there. Maybe the dragon just sort of and cooked him on his way down. Number 2, an unpublished novel entitled A Quest for Gold. It follows the adventures of a scholar as he and a group of adventurers attempt to defeat the antagonist, who is referred to as the Dragon King. The protagonists eventually kill the Dragon King, but the epilogue describes the scholar being possessed and becoming the new Dragon King. That sounds interesting, if it was real. Number 3 is a short story entitled The Dragon's Shadow. The story is presented from the point of view of a young boy who is afraid that a dragon is present inside his house. In the story, the dragon is described as dog-sized and having insectoid properties. Ew. The dragon chases the boy around his house, eventually killing and consuming him. Dang. Number 4 is a crayon drawing of a dragon, and nothing else, I guess. Number 5 is the Dream Diary of Blankety Blank. Roughly 90% of the described dreams involve dragons, lizards, or fire. It is unknown why this specific dream diary carries 1154's properties, as other written accounts of dreams caused by 1154 carry no anomalous effects. And number 6, a movie filmed in 1993 titled Quinn, the Eternal Dragon! The film's plot involves the arrival of a humanoid reptile in Tokyo, and the military's attempts to destroy it. All attempts are unsuccessful, however, and the film ends with the reptile consuming the last of the survivors. It sounds like Godzilla, but worse, because Godzilla doesn't eat people. I don't think Godzilla eats people. Godzilla ate people in the 1990-something American version, but in Japan, I don't think Godzilla eats people. I don't know. I'll have to ask somebody. Predatory Street Art is next, and it's not safe, Keter. So we went safety, safe, Keter. Containment Procedures. 1155 is currently contained in a disused parking lot adjacent to an abandoned shopping center. and the blank blank city metropolitan area. The building is to be marked condemned, and access to both it and the car park should be restricted by Foundation personnel posing as security guards from the blankety blank front company. Civilians are to be deterred from entering the site and supplied with standard cover story for number 47, structural instability / sinkhole, if they inquire as to why. 1155 must be kept under constant observation by motion tracking security cameras. If 1155 is observed to vanish, Mobile Task Force Pi 1 City Slicker should be notified immediately. Personnel should not routinely attempt to view it directly. Observation must be conducted remotely. There used to be a whole half a paragraph of stuff that got crossed out. Whatever flat surface that 1155 is currently inhabiting should be obscured from view by any standard class to enclosed mobile containment unit, or, in situations where this cannot be effected in a timely fashion, by obstructing it with a vehicle, storage container, or displaced rubble, provided that this can be done without damaging a 3-meter area around the image. Now it says, following incident 1155B, it has been observed that completely enclosing 1155 has a tendency to hasten a relocation event. Revised procedures now recommend that the evacuation of the immediate area surrounding it to the minimum distance necessary to prevent contact with the general public, unless 1155 manifests in a high visibility location or anywhere where preventing public egress is impossible. At the present time, 1155 cannot be permanently contained by any known means. Approximately every 2 to 4 months, it has been observed to spontaneously relocate itself to other urban environments, moving as little as 15 meters from its current position, up to a maximum observed distance of 800 kilometers. These relocation events can also be triggered by damage to the surface it adheres to, interruption of an attack, and an attempt to reduce the size of its confinement space to prevent visual contact. I was about to say, I guess it's cuter because they can't control it or contain it and not because it's dangerous. But if it's doing attacks to people, it's probably cuter for both those reasons. Therefore, current containment efforts are centered around swiftly ascertaining its new location and isolating it from public view. When such a relocation event occurs, Pi 1 should be immediately deployed alongside local assets to locate the new site as quickly as possible, re-implement containment procedures, and detain any witnesses. Survivors of attacks should be detained. Uninjured witnesses may be administered Class A amnestics and then released. Well, what happens if they were injured? What happens if they were injured? Anyway, description. SCP-1155 manifests as a work of street art / graffiti, depicting the form of a humanoid creature with sinewy forelimbs, claw-like hands, and the head and feathers of an owl. I've held up my end of the bargain, owl man! The depicted pose is variable, but tends towards a predatory stance, with eyes that appear to track the viewer. Anyone viewing this image directly will experience a compulsion to investigate it further. Victims describe a nervous fascination and a desire to move closer. This can be resisted with effort, especially if the subject is aware of 1155's anomalous properties. If a subject approaches to within 2 meters and is not in the line of sight of another person, they will be subjected to a violent attack, suffering severe lacerations, dismemberment of extremities, whole or partial removal of soft body parts, and penetrating head trauma consistent with those that would be inflicted by a large beak and/or talons. The attack generally takes about 6 seconds to conclude, upon which both 1155 and the victim will vanish. Okay, so that's what happens if... okay. And 1155 will reappear elsewhere in the usual manner of a relocation event within 7 days. Attacks can be halted by before this event by re-establishing line of sight to the victim, but this is not recommended. See Record of Incident 1155A. Attempts to track where the victims are taken by equipping test subjects with GPS locators have failed. Based on tested interruptions performed at predefined intervals, the attack follows a defined pattern. The victim will first be restrained and the eyes and tongue will be removed, rapidly followed by the amputation of the hands and feet. The victim will then be disemboweled and the intestines and stomach removed. Death usually follows due to shock or rapid exsanguination, but only if the attack is interrupted by visual contact. The fate of victims who disappear along with 1155 at the conclusion of the attack is unknown. Alright, so what's Incident A? 2 surviving disposable dudes used for attack interruption tests were given medical treatment and kept alive in the aftermath of the event. Both were incoherent and could not adequately communicate what had happened to them, though D89786, whose eyes were removed during the attack, claimed to still be able to see, and provided a description of a larder containing bodies of previous victims of 1155, along with the entity itself. 89-786 escaped from on-site quarters during a containment breach by SCP Blank and was pursued by local law enforcement in nearby Blank, who were told he was a severely disturbed patient from a local mental hospital. Officer Blank reports that they saw the subject walking into an alleyway, but before they could apprehend, a scream was heard, and when they rounded the corner, it was found that 89-786 had disappeared. The alleyway was a dead end with no visible exits. 89-789, both eyes, tongue, hands, and feet removed before the attack halted, was successfully transferred to Site Blank. A period of rapid relocations was noted in 1155, where it was observed in several public places with a posture that suggested hunting/tracking behavior. 1155 appeared for several hours high up on the side of the Blank building, in full view of many witnesses who could fortunately not access it. In view of the difficulties of containment, Black Command made the decision to bring 89-789 back into the city. 1155 was observed to appear several times on walls, advertisement boards, and bridges along the transport vehicle's path. 89-789 was observed to become increasingly agitated and hysterical during this process. They were transferred to a remote location on the edge of city limits, placed in front of 1155, whereupon visual contact was broken. They both disappeared, and 1155 resumed previous pattern of manageable relocation behavior. Okay, so if you successfully take away the thing that the creature was trying to eat, you will hunt them down. Because owl. Elements of Mobile Task Force Pi 1 located 1155 an abandoned subway station after most recent relocation event. Team Leader Blank made the decision to obscure 1155 with a vending machine until more containment resources arrived, on the basis that there were not enough task force members on site to guarantee a secure perimeter, and local transients were known to use the area for shelter. 1155 immediately displaced to a nearby children's playground, causing Blank casualties before it could again be located. Due to the highly public nature of this location, decision was made at a command level to again provoke a displacement event, resulting in the current containment location. Containment at the current location was expensive, requiring that an entire shopping center be acquired by the Foundation and then subsequently closed, but the revised containment procedures have resulted in the longest time since a relocation event to date. The last few containment locations may point to a disturbing trend. Previously, 1155 seemed to have a pattern of appearing in low-traffic urban areas, often abandoned buildings or quiet underpasses. At risk of anthropomorphism, it appears to have become emboldened and will now readily appear in public spaces, which makes containment difficult. Over the objections of the containment team, leave the damn thing uncovered. Better we lose a few urban explorers or nosy kids every couple of years rather than risk having it abduct more people than we can before we can locate it each time. Okay, so let me pull up Owlman. Not that one, YouTube. Not there he is. Okay, so by pulling this up from a different YouTube channel, yeah. I just want to have some sort of explanation for why I keep mentioning Owlman.
Where's it coming from?
And that's Owlman. That's what I thought of when I was reading about that. I've just imagine Imagine graffiti of that coming after you. And that's what I was thinking of the whole time I was reading that. But anyway, if you want to see more Owlman stuff, the YouTube channel is Hex Studios. I don't know if they're still doing them or not. It looks like the last one they did was about a year ago. There's some pretty great videos. I recommend it. But anyway, back over here. That about does it for this episode of Let's Read the SCP Foundation Wiki. And the next one we'll be starting with the Wellington Wonder House, followed by the Bifurcating Man, whatever that word means. Arboreal Jellyfish Puppeteers, the Wind Harp, and Effective Containment. The fact that there's an SCP called Effective Containment sounds highly suspect, but we'll get there when we get there. If you liked it, a like and a subscribe will be groovy. If you didn't, you need to do either one of those things. If you want to click the bell, you can do that as well, so that you're notified of future uploads, whatever. And I'll see y'all in the next one. Later.